Hello and welcome to Property Hotline on India's first property channel, Magicbricks Now. I'm Kavita Krishnan. Today we are answering all your home finance queries with Kartik Jhaveri. Kartik is the founder and director of Transcend Consulting India Private Limited. Kartik, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We have a first caller on the line for the evening. Manoj has dialed in from Bengaluru. Manoj, how can we help you?
Hi, Kavita and Kartik.
Hi.
Hi.
I own an apartment in Bangalore which costs about 40 lakhs and it's under loan of 40 lakhs. So the apartment is 5-year-old. I am looking at investing in a second property, considering the appreciation in the near future. So should I close the loan first and then think of investing in the second property, or should I invest in the second one?
So basically you've come into surplus funds. See, that's a question Kartik really likes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Kavita already knows that, Manoj. So, every time there's a surplus and there is a property involved, then my favorite answer is, listen, why don't you create more and more assets? You see, we have to make formulas work in terms of 1 + 1 = 11. So, by all means, keep your property. You see, the logic for that is very simple, Manoj. Your real estate property is already appreciating every day, right? Now, having said that, the loan that you are going to take, which you've taken on that, is about 9.5%. That's the cost of the loan. Your property itself is growing by about, say, 12 to 15%, which is much higher than the cost of the loan. So, therefore, it is absolutely viable to take a loan. Now, you're going to move to another property. So, the thing is, there's no rush to finish the loan. Is your EMI falling within 35 to 40% of your your monthly income? Are you going to be comfortable with the fact that you are having to pay an EMI plus you have another property, maybe an EMI for that or maybe no EMI for that, or the surplus that you're talking right now, you're going to go ahead and invest that. But very often I also have a different suggestion to make, which is to say that when you have one property, you have one surplus, a very nice financial habit is to maintain a 1:1 ratio, or preferably a 2:1 ratio, which is to say that for every 1 rupee in real estate, I should have 2 rupees in other than real estate. So what happens is I make profits there, I earn I get my liquidity, I earn interest, or I earn profits. And from those profits, time to time, I can make some prepayments. And as a result of which, my loan itself will get over in about 8 or 10 years in a structured manner, of course. In the process, my capital has been paid off because in a much earlier time, I've saved on interest, I've created 2 assets, I've got a mutual fund asset also going on, or stocks, or maybe a fixed deposit, whatever you like. But as long as you've got multiple assets, happening and working all in your favor, that's a great idea. If this land is going to appreciate, you think it's a better idea than going into an equity mutual fund, which is to say that you're going to earn more than 14 or 15% per annum compounded, then go ahead and buy that land of yours.
Okay, so essentially what Kartik is telling you here is don't put all your eggs in one basket. However, the idea here is that real estate is a good asset to invest in, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have this channel up and running for you. Before we move on, Kartik, we know that the pay commission has, been granted, has essentially been cleared by the government. Now, a lot of people are going to come into a lot of money.
That's right.
Surplus funds, like we keep talking about on the channel. And the sense is that a lot of that is going to get into real estate. Any pointers that you would want to give all those government employees who are in for this huge windfall now?
Yeah, so, it's actually funny. It's going to be ironical to what you just said. So, real estate is a fantastic asset. Yes, it creates a lot of wealth. But you see, this is an opportunity where you should not rush into it, because there are umpteen examples of how people have got stuck because of liquidity factor. The real estate is doing well. The market is doing sometimes well, sometimes not so well. When you want to get out, you can't really get out. So this is a time to equalize your overall financial position. So if you've got enough and more in real estate, look at your overall net worth. And if you think that in your net worth, you're lacking liquidity, you don't even have more than 30 or 40% of your overall net worth as a liquid net worth, then maybe this is time to think about it really hard. Go to a fixed deposit, go to a bond fund, which is even better than a fixed deposit tax-wise, or maybe if you're happy with it, go to equity mutual funds or go to direct equities. But create different kind of assets. Don't be in a rush. You're going to get a lump sum, right? Now, from your monthly investment, see, what's going to happen is while you're going to get a big packet due to the pay commission, that's your lump sum. On an ongoing basis, you're going to get a little more on your monthly incomes as well. So there, if you want to take another real estate and maybe therefore you pay a little bit of an EMI from that increased income, then that's absolutely fine. But your lump sum, please try and use it wisely.
Right, so that's a smart tip coming your way over there. Use your lump sum to first take a look at your investment, take a look at your portfolio. If you have enough of money in real estate, then try and distribute your money. But if you have enough of your money in equities and other kind of assets, then that is probably time for you now to buy into real estate, because real estate also is slowly but surely picking up. Another thing that you can also keep in mind is you can use your income to pay off the loan rather than use the surplus to pay off the loan. Create two assets at the same time, right? We have Shailesh Khandelwal who's called in now. Shailesh, how can we help you?
Hi, guys. First of all, thank you so much for looking into my case and advising me on that. This is with reference to my last week's query where I told you guys that I was stuck up with a loan with HDFC and the builder has ran away. So post my discussion with you last week, I reached out to HDFC for a loan. And though it's on a very early stage, but I've explained my whole case to them, and they would, and they've said that they would be looking into it. But my point and query is this: let's assume they decide to give me a, home loan based on the merit of my case. Now, do they have it in their power to club my past home loan with the new home loan, and on a later day may hold my new property as a leverage to force me to pay the old home loan?
Okay, that's a very important question over there, Kartik. Just to bring our other viewers up to speed. Now, Shailesh had called in last week with a problem. Essentially, what we've been advising viewers against the 2080 schemes that a lot of developers are offering. Now, he had entered into a tripartite agreement with HDFC, Kartik, at that point in time, and HDFC and the developer were involved in this.
That's right.
And now the developer has essentially run away with the money.
That's right.
So he's left holding the loan and paying off that loan, and he wanted to know what to do. And I remember you took quite a contrarian view at that time, and you said that he should probably hold the bank or the HFC responsible. What do you say now?
Absolutely. I mean, indeed, right? Because firstly, the project does not get approved till the time the housing finance company has done a thorough technical check on the sanctity of the project, the title clearances, and the fact that this project is fundable. Now, if they did not do that, or if there was a little bit of a problem in that, then there is a huge amount of risk that the housing finance company itself is facing, because they would have lent money to so many people like Shailesh, isn't it? So now
having signatories to that agreement also.
Yes, absolutely. So that's where we took a stand that, look, if nothing happens, the worst case scenario, your CIBIL is going to get completely messed up and you're going to not get another loan from anywhere. So therefore, save your money, because you might need that money somewhere else. There are lots of players in the market. If HDFC is happy to fund you, and which they technically should, remember, what's going to happen in the process, Shailesh, is you're going to have two assets, which you are also pretty clear about. And both these assets, now here's the interesting part, both these assets will have their own independent agreements of purchase. Likewise, they also have an independent agreement of mortgage. So which means, unless that agreement is specifically created to jeopardize the other property, and which does not normally happen. So one property, one asset. So for example, if you have, technically speaking, two home loans running even with the same lender, and if you're paying one and if you're not paying the other one, they can actually seize the other property and sell it off and liquidate it and make their loan good, so to say. And your other loan, which you're servicing pretty well, there they cannot do anything about it. So your fear of having these two things going together and they not giving you that property may not be as pronounced as you might think it to be. You will have to wait for a long time for the for the land to sort of go to another developer. They'll develop it, and all of that will happen. So that's one property that you still have. At least you are having some sort of fractional ownership in the land. And on the other side, you'll have a proper house. So as long as you can afford the EMI, I think don't worry about it.
Right. That's your answer there, Shailesh. Hope we've answered all your doubts. Let's move on to a Facebook query next. Gauri Khanna says that her friend took a home loan and repaid 20 to 24 months worth of EMIs. He recently passed away in an accident. Now, she wants to know what procedure should be followed to repay the loan in this case.
Okay, so, there are two aspects to closure of such a loan. So one is repayment. Now, as far as the housing finance company or the lender for that matter is concerned, they are interested in receiving the money. Technically, they want the money to come from the borrower, but if the borrower for whatever reason is not available, somebody who is the legal heir of the borrower can come and make the payment, which is fine, absolutely acceptable. So to that extent, the loan will get closed. The liability on the family will therefore not accrue any further. So that's the simple part. What is the not so simple part is the fact that you will have to now transfer this property into your name, because Once you pay off the loan, the next thing that you want to do is to get the title deeds back, because in India, most of the times we take a loan by deposit of title deeds, which is known as the equitable mortgage. That's what we are doing. But then they will not give you the deed, because who are you? You are the legal heir, but where does it say on paper that you are the legal heir? So therefore, the process for you to be empowered to collect your title deeds might be actually a long and elaborate process. So you may have to go through the succession route, or if there is a will, then maybe the probate route, and all those things need to be then actioned. You will have to be empowered that now you are the legal heir and there is no objection to the fact that the property can move to you. The title deeds could be then given to you, and then you go ahead to
Kartik,
proceed
Gauri
with the transfer.
very clearly, in a question, Gauri very clearly says that this was her friend who passed away.
That's right.
So chances are that Gauri is not the legal heir over here,
Oh, yes,
and there would be
absolutely.
somebody else who's the
Absolutely.
legal heir.
Yes, yes.
In that case, what does Gauri do?
No, so Gauri will have to exactly take our advice and give it to the legal heir, because that's exactly what the legal heir will have to do. Now, if there is no will, then you have to go through a different process, which is that of a succession certificate. And if there is a will, then the legal heirs will have to then, go to the executor and ask the person who's the executor to go ahead and start the executorship process or the execution process for actually acquiring this property and then getting it transferred into their name. So that is going to be a bit of a process. But see, in the meanwhile, these days we live in the world of technology. So if you really want your deed is also available on, if it's registered recently, then it's pretty much available on the internet. You can just put in your deed number and you can download a copy. So it's as easy as that. So, but then to get your original title deeds, which have a lot of value if you want to ever sell your flat, you need to have this title. You need to have the entries to be done in the sub-registrar's office that you are now the owner and you are now the legal heir. So therefore, so that you don't have a problem in selling the flat for the legal heir, you will have to follow a certain procedure. As far as the housing finance company is there, just go and give them a check. They'll be very happy to close the loan.
Right. So essentially what you need to do is A, repay that loan, and B, go approach a lawyer and they will help you out with, how to get the title deeds transferred to the name of the legal heir. Very quickly, Kartik, before we move on.
Right.
Now, a lot of times when we go to take a home loan from a bank or a housing finance company, the advice that is given to a customer is that you should ideally be taking an insurance alongside the home loan.
Correct.
Which is typically for situations like this.
Absolutely.
That what if the person who's been paying off the home loan passes away for for some reason? Then what happens? What would you advise? Should customers go for that insurance as well, or is there any other instrument that they could probably take to hedge against risk?
Yeah, I mean, insurance is one of the best things that you can do because it comes at a very small sort of a cost. The premium is really small. Now, very often, most of the lenders will insist that you buy some sort of a mortgage insurance. Maybe they're getting a little bit incentive also by selling you that, but which is fantastic because you see, they are covering their liability. I mean, what we have to understand is no lender is ever interested in going through the process of taking your flat away. It's a very painful process. They have to go through a lot of legal procedures to take the flat, auction it, sell it, and then retrieve the money. They don't want to do that. They want a simpler process like all of us do. So therefore, they insist that you should have that insurance. And see, from our own personal safety and the security of our family, we should always have this mortgage insurance. You may actually deny the lender that I don't want your insurance or your recommended insurance. I will buy a term plan on my own accord, and you can always endorse it to that company. And the endorsement is again a very simple procedure which any insurance company can help you do. So what happens is, if God forbid something happened to you, the proceeds of that would go towards paying off this loan, and that's what an endorsement really does for you. So you can buy your own term plan and then you can do as you please. Maybe you're prepaying some loan in few years time, then you may want to cancel some part of your term policies and maybe reduce your insurance cover, so on and so forth.
So essentially, key takeaway for all borrowers out there: if you're planning to take a home loan, it makes sense to buy that insurance policy alongside your home loan. It's a small cost that you need to pay, but it will work out for the good in the end. However, it is not essential that you buy the insurance that the bank is selling to you. You can opt to buy your own term policy, which you know about, which you've read, where you've read all the terms and conditions. You can opt to buy your own term policy and ensure that it endorses the home loan that you take, so that in the event that you need to use the policy, then it can be used to repay that loan. Moving on, Amit Khanna has tweeted to us. Now, Amit Khanna says that he's married, wants to buy a flat in Virar jointly with his sister who's also married. He says both of them will pay equal amounts for the purchase of the flat. can they avail a loan for this?
So the answer for you, Amit, is that yes, you can avail a loan, but the problem is that most institutions are not willing to give a loan. So there is as such no problem. Any two people can go and jointly buy a property. That's not a problem. But from a lending perspective, they have a little bit of a worry that, you are two separate families and, the families are a little, things are great right now, but what if they fall apart as time goes on, and then they'll have to go through the whole legal process of bringing two families together. So having said all of that, I have a slightly different advice also for you, Amit, that you know what, from a legal standpoint, it really doesn't make sense for any sibling in this world that we live in to really buy a property jointly. Think about it from your own perspective. I mean, you have a lesser budget, maybe buy a smaller property or buy a property somewhere else, but don't really get into it, because very often when relations are great, we do joint investments. But when you actually need the property or when you need the money, and if relations are not so great at some point of time in future, and here we are talking of a very long time, it's not a very short-term decision. We're talking 5 years, 10 years, 20 years into the future. You don't know. Somebody passes away, then you have children. Children may not get along so well. So you know what, in a sibling property, it's not really the best thing to do. Rather you buy the property on your own accord, maybe take a loan, whatever you can afford, so on and so forth. But if you still want to go ahead together, try it out. There are plenty of lenders available, and there are plenty of aggressive lenders who really want to get a deal happening. Real estate is a little slow. So you don't know what you might end up with. But generally speaking, they don't want to give it to siblings.
Cynical,
brother and sisters, basically.
It's a very cynical but a practical outlook. Let's take an email query next. Now, Lieutenant Commander Vijayant Rai says that he bought a 1 BHK in Chennai for 29 lakh rupees. He paid only 15%. The rest is to be paid after possession in August 2016. Now, he's planning to buy another house in Mumbai for 50 lakh rupees. He says that he plans to take a loan for both homes of 24 lakh and 45 lakh rupees respectively. Will he get tax benefit on both loans? What is the maximum benefit that he can avail?
Okay, so Lieutenant Commander Vijayant Rai, you will get benefit on both the loans, but the benefits will be different. So let's understand what both these benefits would be. Now, these benefits are subject to what treatment you give to your property. So what the law says is that out of all your properties, you have the choice of treating any one property as what is known as your SOP, self-occupied property, or which is your primary home in simpler words. So on your primary home, you will get the benefit which is under section 24 for 2 lakhs of interest payment, which is something that we are very well aware of, and the 1.5 lakh in section 80C. And of course, that 80C section has everything else also as a part of it, the insurance premiums and the ELSS investments and PPF and all of that. So 80C gives you a maximum benefit up to 1.5 lakh on your principal repayment, 2 lakhs of interest repayment under section 24. So those are the benefits that you get. And if your spouse is also a joint holder for the benefit of others, then this benefit automatically doubles. So each one of you will get 2 lakhs under section 84. So that is all for your self-occupied property. Even if you're paying interest, which is way beyond 2 lakhs or 4 lakhs as the case might be, you don't get any further benefit. Now, all your other properties, whether it is one or all the others that you have, are actually deemed let out. Now, whether they are actually let out, whether you are actually earning a rental out of it or not, they are, from the tax point of view, they are considered as properties that have been let out. Now, what happens in a let out property is you have to take a assumed rate or a fair rent as a rent that you have earned, even if you have actually not earned. So when you are filing your income tax return, you have to take a deemed rent, as it's called. And against the deemed rent, all the interest that you're paying, there is no upper limit on that. Even if you're paying 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs of interest on it, that interest is then offset from that deemed rent, and that's the amount of benefit that you can get. So that interest can actually give you a substantial boost in terms of your tax savings and therefore your, the money that comes in your hand. So these are the two different type of property nomenclatures, and you have the choice. But once you offer one property as SOP, you can't flip it around every year, depending on which is the more advantageous situation. That is not an advisable thing to do. But having said that, go ahead and choose one as your SOP, keep one as your let out property, and or the other properties are let out properties, and go ahead and make your taxation. You get benefit on both.
Right. Kartik, one other thing. Now, Lieutenant Commander Rai just has also said that one of the properties, at least from what I understand, is an under construction property. Right. He's paid 15% upfront, the rest on possession.
Correct.
So, as far as I know, you cannot claim, a tax deduction on this property until you get possession. So you really have to wait till you get possession of the house, till you move into the house. Only after that can you claim tax deduction on it, right?
You're absolutely right. And since this is just going to happen in August of 16, which is just about around the corner, so what will happen is, if for any reason, if the property still remains under construction, then whatever you are paying will get amortized over 5 years. So you will have to break up that interest component that you have paid, and then you'll get those offset in a 5-year period. You will not get it immediately. So that's what you're absolutely right on that, yes.
Right. So you need to remember that you can only claim this deduction once you get possession. However, 2 properties, 3 properties, it makes immense sense from the point of view of taxes, from the point of view of saving taxes, to actually invest in more than one property and take more than one home loan. Though I don't think Kartik would advise that from a personal finance point of view. Let's move on to our next question. Jayesh Kamath writes in on our website, www.mbnow.in. Now, he says that he plans to take a loan for a ready-to-move-in property, but due to an immediate cash crunch, he's thinking of registering the property 2 to 3 months after possession. He wants to know whether the bank will disburse 100% of the loan, or will the disbursement happen after registration in this case?
Oh, absolutely clear. There is no two doubts about this. There's no even argument on this, Jayesh. You cannot get any disbursement till the time your agreement is registered. So that's a basic thing, because you see, again, what happens in India is the law that we are using. So there are various ways of the mortgage agreement or the mortgage arrangement. Let's call it that way. So how is the bank actually giving you loan? They are doing that, and what is the security they have? They are having your documents, which is known as an equitable mortgage. So they are just taking your title deeds and depositing with themselves. So what you are doing is depositing title deeds. They are taking safe custody of that. And that is how they are giving you this loan, against the deposit of these title deeds. So therefore, if they did not have the title deeds, then on what basis would they give you the loan? So registration is absolutely mandatory. You cannot not register. What you can do, however, because you are running short of cash and all of that that you are having right now, you can get into a sale agreement with the builder. Okay, you can do whatever payments you have to do. Take your time, arrange, negotiate your terms, do all of that. But the day you decide that for the remaining part of the purchase, if I need a loan, the compulsory condition is that your agreement has to be registered, stamp duty paid and all of that. And then when you give the original document, that's the time the money will be disbursed, not before that. So, there's no element of doubt in this.
Right, no element of doubt there. Another key takeaway coming your way right at the end of this show: the bank will disburse your home loan only after you register the agreement, which makes it all the more essential that you register the agreement. Remember, the agreement also is your only proof that you have bought that home, that you own that home, own the title to that home. Another key takeaway that we learned today, right at the beginning of the show, this was, that is, you should buy insurance. Consider buying insurance when you take a home loan. However, it is not necessary, it is not compulsory to buy the insurance that the bank is offering to you. You can do your own research and choose your own term plan. However, remember to endorse it so that the bank knows that in event it has to recover money from the insurance, it will get a payout from that particular insurance policy. Right? That's all the time we have on today's episode of Property Hotline. Kartik, thank you very much for coming in, answering all those questions. If you have any questions related to real estate, it could be about buying, selling, investing in property, it could be legal issues, tax queries related to property, or just home finance queries like the ones we answered today, get in touch with us. We'll get the country's top experts to answer each and every one of them. Contact details are flashing on your screen. Thank you very much for tuning in to Property Hotline. Keep watching Magicbricks Now.
You can watch live TV on our website mbnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.